I see what you're trying to do here, man. You're trying to show me up.
What are you talking about, Bish?
Are you challenging me? Yes, I am challenging you.
These videos are not for children. If you are a children, then piss off.
Hey there, it's me, your least favorite YouTuber, Infuso. And I've talked previously about recasts on sitcoms. It's something that's all too common. Whether we're talking about Aunt Viv on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Harriet Winslow on Family Matters, Becky on Roseanne several times over, it's something that happens quite a lot. But today, I'm here to talk about something a little bit different. See, I'm not here to talk about another full-on recast on a sitcom, but instead, a replacement on a sitcom. The show New Girl, which is probably a topic I'll bring up a couple times on this channel, believe it or not. The show New Girl is about a quirky oddball moving into a loft with 3 random dudes that she met on the internet. And I can assure you, after having watched the series, that is significantly less scary than it actually sounds. The New Girl is played by Zooey Deschanel, and her 3 male roommates are Schmidt, an OCD-ridden narcissist, Nick Miller, a socially inept, sarcastic loser, who, for some strange reason, I seem to relate to, and Coach, a competitive sports nut. Or at least that was the initial plan of the cast going into the show. In the pilot episode, the character of Coach is played by Damon Wayans Jr., who is a personal favorite of mine. The guy is absolutely hilarious. I feel like he elevates the lines that are given to him, but even outside of that, he has an amazing grasp of physical comedy. The guy is absolutely his father's son. Anyway, he signed on to the main cast of New Girl, while he was still playing on the show Happy Endings, expecting that that show had reached its, well, a happy ending. Except it didn't. It did not. The show he starred in, which was thought to be cancelled, was actually renewed for another season, causing him to immediately leave New Girl before it even got a second episode. Considering that the show had yet to air at that point in time, most people who are in charge of these things would usually go back, reshoot the pilot over again with another actor in that role. That is the ordinary thing to do. But I think you'll find that the show New Girl is anything but ordinary, because they didn't do that. The people in charge of New Girl went another route. They took the road much less traveled, instead choosing to continue on and still keep that first episode canon. The following episode explained away Coach's absence and essentially replaced him with another roommate named Winston. Now, for all intents and purposes, Winston was really just a surrogate Coach. And I honestly wouldn't be shocked to learn that if for the first season of the show, they just worked around all the original Coach scripts that they'd written and just crossed his name out and instead wrote in Winston. At first, he was basically playing the same role. Doing it very differently, of course, but it just kind of seemed like he was a placeholder for the Coach character. Like lines that would have been given to that character and probably would have worked better if Damon Wayans was actually delivering that dialogue, was now just given to him. It didn't really work. It just kind of seemed like they had the same exact place in the story, and that's when the story decided to give him a place. For the entire first season of New Girl, all I can think of is how this guy came off as dollar store Coach. But it seemed like those in charge eventually realized this, and they came to the conclusion that the Coach type of character worked well for Damon Wayans, but not so much for Lamorne Morris. And if I'm saying the guy's name wrong, I'm truly sorry. This is a warning I put before everything. I am just a very stupid individual that for some reason people tune in to listen to. But my overall point here is that the lines that were written for Damon Wayans work for Damon Wayans, but they don't really work for Lamorne Morris, the actor who portrayed Winston. So it's either that they felt that the lines weren't working for him the way that they worked for the actor who came before him, or they wisened up and decided it'd be a better look to make a completely different character rather than just copy and paste one. Over the next season or so, Winston began to develop into his own character. For better or worse. For worse, in my opinion. Look, I've watched this whole series through, and I really, genuinely, honestly, did not care for Winston. Which is funny, because I actually like his actor. I've seen him in a bunch of things. He was in that Game Night movie. I thought he was funny in that. I've seen him in a dozen commercials. He was in one of the barbershop movies, I'm pretty sure. And I think he even had a bit role in Jumanji, alright? I've seen this guy act, and I like him. I find him funny. With the exception of in this show. Because I did not. I did not care for him. I did not care about him. He seems so inconsequential in the show in like the bigger picture of things. He's always in the background of everything, you know? He always gets pushed to the C plots. And that's when they even decide to give him a plot. Sometimes he's just, oh, hey, look, there's Winston. He seems so irrelevant in a show in which he's part of the ensemble cast. He gets the least character development out of the entire cast. And in terms of memorable moments or quotable lines, he gets the creative room's table scraps. We're talking bare minimum effort was put into this character. And it's not like he's a one-off character or, you know, somebody who showed up for a couple seasons and then, you know, took a hike. No, he's a dude who's in every episode after the first one. He's part of the main cast. You'd be forgiven for not knowing that, because he's probably the most forgettable part of the show, but yeah, no, he's part of the main cast. Also, at some point in time, they decide to make Winston stand out from everyone else to develop him in some way, shape, or form. Their idea was to make the character a complete weirdo, which is confusing to me because in a show with Zooey Deschanel in a leading role,
do we really need two of these guys?
I mean, this woman has made a career off of radiating awkwardness. Their decision to make Winston weird was also weird. From the way that he reacts to fruity drinks, which, by the way, was actually kind of funny.
Look at me being so naughty. So naughty.
To randomly becoming obsessed with a cat, which, by the way, was not really funny, and there was way too much emphasis put on that. I don't know, it just wasn't doing it for me. Like I said before, the guy is entertaining. Just the character that you saddled him down with is not. It kind of feels like his talents are wasted here. You know, I don't really feel like they utilized him to his greatest capabilities. I don't know, maybe I'm alone in that. That's just my opinion. It was really, I just kind of feel like you could take the New Girl series and you can take Winston out and it would change very little. If there's anything I can say positive about the Winston character, and this isn't a tribute to, I guess, both him and the casting department, but if there was one positive thing I could say, it's that whenever he was in a relationship, you know, whenever they gave him a significant other, it made him significantly more interesting. I don't know how, but Lamorne managed to have a great chemistry with nearly every woman the show paired him with. Like, seriously, every woman. The highlight of his time on this series is when the show decided to put him in a relationship. He did good with that. These were the moments where the character was not only tolerable, but likable. And in a weird way, for a brief amount of time, anytime he got into a relationship, I kind of rooted for him. It was nice to see. He had a great chemistry with everyone from London Tipton to that one chick from Saturday Night Live. No hyperbole. The absolute highlight of his time in the series. Anytime they paired him with somebody, there was a spark, there was a connection, and I was somewhat invested. Let me put it to you like this. If I was throwing a party and Winston was a guest of mine, I'd give him a +1. But it's like a +1 with a little asterisk, you know? It's a mandatory +1. As in, you need to bring somebody with you or else you just can't come. Winston was just an unneeded, boring character on his own, and I don't think it helped matters when the show actually managed to bring Coach back. Yeah, that's right, Coach wasn't down and out for the count just yet. Following the actual cancellation of Happy Endings, Damon Wayans would re-sign and return to New Girl in the show's 3rd season, 2 years after his first and only appearance. And the show basically just rolled out the red carpet for him. He was immediately brought back into the fold. He instantly moved back into the loft. He became a focal point of that season, got his own storylines, was put into A and B plots, and all of this just kind of pushed Winston further and further into the background. And I can't blame the show for doing that, because the Coach character just seemed to fit in better with this group of friends. And Damon Wayans seemed to fit the overall tone and energy of the show a lot better. Again, this has nothing to do with Lamorne Morris. He's a great actor. I find him really funny when he's given the right material. My complaint here is that this wasn't the right material. And when you think about it, how could it be? Because he really was just a last-minute replacement for a character that they already had plans for. And being that they didn't just reshoot the pilot and hire a new actor for Coach, It was obvious that producers of the show were holding out hope that Damon Wayans would return. So even when they cast Morris, they still weren't willing to give him a lot of what they planned for Coach. At the end of the day, a lot of the time, Winston just kind of seemed like an extra body there for fuck's sake. I don't know. Either way, when Coach came back, they definitely put an emphasis on Coach, and they took a little bit of the spotlight off of Winston, who again, didn't have all that much spotlight to begin with. Like, he could not spare it. And maybe it was the prolonged absence of the character that made the writers want to further explore him. I mean, at this point in time in the series, the viewing audience had 2 seasons worth of the rest of the cast, and about only 20 minutes of Coach. So it makes sense that they would want to develop the character and flesh him out. Because again, they had so much more time to do that with all their other characters. But they really didn't do that with Winston, though. They had the time to, but they chose not to. They could have done it, but they did not. Like I said before, it makes a lot of sense that those in charge would want to push him center stage, especially when considering that there were probably blueprints for dynamics, plots, and developments for the character that were probably just lying somewhere in the writing room after Damon Wayans took his exit. But Coach's re-inclusion in the series, and the focus that was put on him, also kind of put a spotlight on how unnecessary Winston was. The guy always came across as a second thought, and that's even if he was being thought of at all. But to be fair, that might be because he probably was. This character was never even supposed to exist. And in a panic, the show at last minute hired this actor, threw him on screen, and then just seemed like they were at a loss for what to do with him for the next 7 seasons. What makes this even more of a slap in the face is that Winston was a main cast member, and here he is getting bumped out of his spot for a reoccurring guest star? Now granted, the idea that Damon Wayans Jr. was actually just a guest star, when at the time he was seen in every episode, contributing to the show's narratives, having plots centered around him for 2 full seasons, it's highly laughable. He was part of the main cast even if the opening credits said otherwise. That's bullshit. Coach took his leave again in season 4, but still managed to pop in from time to time, either for whole episodes or just for bit gags here and there. Out of the show's 146 episodes, Coach is only present for 44 of them. But I honestly think he contributed more to the series than some of his castmates. And some of my favorite episodes either revolve around him or have him playing a pivotal role in the plot. I've said before I'm not really a fan of recasting characters. I think the best thing to do would be to replace them. And this is a case of where they did that. However, again, in my opinion, this is a case where they could have done that better. They had a good actor, they had good writers, but they just didn't have anything to do with them. Maybe the Winston character should have been thought out and fleshed out a little bit more before he came to screen, but I don't know how much of a difference that would have even made. Because again, he was on the show for 145 episodes, and still toward the end, the only thing they can think to do with him is, what if he has a girlfriend? And that's it. I wanted to end this video by saying Winston deserved better, but no, I don't think he did. I think Lamorne deserved better. Winston, not so much. But anyway, with that being said, I was your least favorite YouTuber, Infuso. You all are the degenerates, and I thank y'all for watching. Hope to see you in the next one.
I am vengeance. I am the night. And that was Infuso. Just remember, if you're not tuning in, then you're missing out.
So, if you like the words that came out of his mouth hole, and you too would like to become a V-generate, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, nerds!
And if you're not joining the fun, you're in for one bad day. And you know what they say about having one bad day?
Catch him next time. Same bat time. Same bat channel.